Hey everybody! So this video will help you get started on your Foursquare assignment. I have Adobe Illustrator open. If you don't see it in your doc, you can go into your Finder, go to your Applications folder, and you'll be able to find it there. Double click to open. But really you want to keep this in your doc. If you click on the icon and you go to your options, make sure Keep in Doc is checked. So that way you aren't having to go find it every single time that you need it. So when you launch Illustrator, if this window doesn't open up, you can hit Command N as in Nancy, or go to File, New, and you'll see this dialog box come up, which is going to help us set up a new document. So I'm going to name my document based on the specifics of this assignment. And I'm going to set up the dimensions of my artboard, which these are your units of measurement, and we're using pixels for this assignment. The other unit that we'll use in here throughout the semester are inches, but for this specific assignment we're using pixels. So you always want to make sure that you're using the right unit of measurement with whatever dimensions are specified. And our height and width are supposed to be 432 pixels. We're going to make sure our color mode is set to RGB color. RGB is used for screen-based work. The other option is CMYK color, which is used for print-based work. We're going to talk more about that in a bit. But for now, just set it to RGB color, and our resolution is set to 72 ppi, which is the screen-based resolution that we want for this, because we're not printing this out. I'm just going to be viewing your work on a screen, and we'll go from there. So once everything is set up, hit Create, and you can see I've already been working on the other artboard for my open compositions. And now I'm setting up the one for my closed compositions. So this is your layers panel. You want to make sure that your layers panel is open. If it's not open, you can go to Window and make sure that layers is checked. And then you want to make new layers by hitting this icon. So here we go. I'll make all of my layers first. And then to rename a layer, you just double click on it and name it from there. So I'll name a couple of these. Here we go. Okay. This icon is important, this little eyeball. It toggles your visibility. So if I go to draw on a layer, let's say I want to draw on this one, I'm not going to be able to see this layer because this layer is on top of it and is my uppermost layer. And unless I undo this eyeball, I wouldn't be able to see what's happening underneath. So if you are running into a sort of visibility problem, like I don't know what I can't, it won't let me draw on a layer, I'm not seeing what I'm doing, it's most likely a visibility issue. But you'll become very familiar with this eyeball icon and toggling the visibility. This is your move tool, as you should know about. If you ever need to get back to it, if you're using a text tool or one of the marquee tools and you're like, oh, I need to move things around, and you don't want to have to exert the effort of going and clicking on this tool, just hit the letter V on your keyboard. That's your keyboard shortcut. So I just hit V, I'm back to my move tool. So here's my artboard. White background is what we're looking for. And here's my rectangle tool, which the keyboard shortcut is the letter M as in monkey, if you want to use that. So if you hold down Shift as you draw, you will, as you click and pull your mouse, you will create a perfect square. And that's what this assignment is all about. I'm going to change my fill color. This is my fill color. This is my stroke color. Stroke is set to black. That's fine. But my fill, I want to be black. So I'm going to use this color picker option here. Choose black. Hit my V key. back to my move tool, and then I can move this thing around, okay? And because this collection of drawings are closed compositions, remember that closed compositions, you want to stay within the boundaries of the drawing, okay? So there, I did not use the shift key. I drew a rectangle. It might look like a square to you, but it's actually a rectangle. So I'm just going to delete that, hit the delete key, shift again. I can turn, rotate these. And again, you just want to make sure that you are aware of the type of composition that you're working with, whether that's open or closed, and being mindful of how your squares are arranged based on the word. So I would keep drawing on this, utilize my 4 squares. You must utilize 4 squares exactly. They can be small, they can be large, they can be rotated, they can be stacked, whatever, but you have to use 4. They can overlap with each other. So once I would, if I had all of these filled in, then when it gets time to export these individual layers as JPEGs, I'm going to hit Shift Command Option S, and whatever layer is selected. And the preset option that we want is a high quality JPEG, which is already filled in here. You can choose it from this list, and you can just keep everything, all those defaults as is. And you don't just want to hit done, you want to hit save. So I'll hit save, and let me go back to my project folder. So I have set up a folder for this project with my first name, last name, Foursquare, and then I have one folder for my open compositions, and I'm going to create a new folder for my closed compositions, because you're going to compress this entire folder and send it to me when you're done. So, and then I would name this whichever drawing it is. I'll say save. So the reason why we're exporting each of these as individual, each of these layers as individual images, is because that saves us a lot of time. Imagine having to set up 30 different documents. It's a lot faster to set up 30 different layers than it is 30 different documents, okay? I'm going to select this layer, this velocity layer, and I'm going to turn off this clumsy layer. And if you want to make sure that your layer is selected, you just hit this little dot here. And then I'll draw on this, this layer just to show you that visibility feature that I was talking about, okay? And I'm not being mindful of the definition of words or anything at this point. But if I turn this back on, you'll see that layer pop up underneath. So as I draw, I would turn off all of these layers as I fill these in so that I can just see the one that I want. And when you see this little square filled in with a color, that means that you are working within that, on that layer. Okay. If you want to select everything that you've drawn, you can just click and drag. You'll see it all pop up and, you know, select itself. You can group everything together using Command G. And then you could even hold down Shift and adjust the size of everything at once. If you were like, oh, I think everything needs to be a little bigger, you know, you can do that. And then to ungroup, you just click, select, go to Object, Ungroup. So that might be an option for you. So let me get out of Illustrator. I'm going to keep saving my work as I go. So I'll hit Command S, as in Sam, and I'll save my Illustrator file in here, which again you will you know, share to the corresponding folder and compress and share that with me. So we'll save that. Let me minimize this. So here we go. Here's my folder, closed compositions, which I just started working on, open compositions. I've already saved some JPEGs here. And again, rather than sending me an email with like 30 attachments, what you're going to do to upload this to Blackboard is, with the entire mother folder selected, that's going to have all of your work in it, you'll right click and say compress. There we go. And you've created a zip file. And that's what you can upload onto Blackboard as just one document. And then what I'll do is I'll download it. I can double click it, open it up, and see your work inside. Okay, so there you have it. That should get you going with Foursquare. Take risks.